Super excited to be here. My name is Cody Fitzgerald with Faster Insurance. This is actually my first 1 million cups. I just moved here 2 weeks ago from Dubuque, Iowa. So I want to start out with a basic question today. What comes to your mind when you think of the term or phrase truck insurance, right? For most people, it's this glamorous term, right? A lot of people, they think about maybe basic coverages and insurance that they buy in their own life, car insurance, life insurance, home insurance, that type of thing. So I got into the truck insurance business about 6 years ago. I'm only 25 today, so at age 19, I was meeting with large trucking companies talking about their insurance programs for a company out of Dubuque, Iowa. And the idea for Faster was really born out of, they were a $200 million company, and they had absolutely zero technology innovation going on inside of their company. Probably like a lot of older companies. They were founded over 100 years ago. And like a lot of companies, they just didn't have a technology division. And it really started with one question that I thought of almost a year ago to today. And that is, what if a single owner-operator truck driver, which is what an owner-operator truck driver is in the trucking industry. There's about 3.5 million truck drivers in America. It's the most heavily filed W-2 job in literally every single state. And about 350 to 400,000 of them are owner-operators. Now what these are men and women who own their own truck and they lease onto a larger trucking company, okay? And they have to buy basic insurance coverages to operate their business that motor carrier that they lease onto, that they drive and haul freight for, actually want to see, all right? And there's 3 basic coverages. And I thought to myself, why is it so complicated for an owner-operator to buy those basic coverages? When they're very like-kind, they're very similar no matter which insurance company you go to. And I thought to myself, why hasn't it been done? Because if you had it, you open up the App Store right now, because it's all mobile, we'll talk about that. There's literally 0 platforms for an owner-operator truck driver to go buy their insurance instantly. None. And we're going to be the first ones. And I'll tell you why it hasn't been done in a second. And it'll probably be a big learning lesson for all of you, probably developing a lot of people in your businesses of a big thing of why it hasn't been done. So the company purpose, Faster Insurance provides independent contractor truck drivers the basic insurance coverages they need to operate their business in a fast, easy, and frictionless way, all via mobile app, iOS and Android technologies. And the reason we started with mobile is because these truck drivers, they could be on the road for sometimes 2, 3, 4 weeks in a row, right? So they don't have the ability to go on a desktop. A lot of times they're driving during the day or at night, and they don't have the time to talk to an agent, insurance agent, all these different problems, right? So what were those problems? It really came down to 4 critical ones. The first one kind of goes a little bit without saying, and I'm sure we've all bought insurance where it just takes forever sometimes, right? It can take days just to get a car insurance quote, days to get a life insurance quote, what have you. And for businesses, it sometimes is even slower. It could take weeks, even months, to get the insurance coverages you need to operate your business. It doesn't have to, it's just the way the system is currently set up. There was no education. These drivers didn't know what they were buying, right? The agents didn't take the time to do it. Safety, we'll talk about in a second, and just no easy mobile-first solutions. So what have we developed? It's mobile first, iOS and Android, like I said. The driver can literally download the application, fill out the underwriting questions from the insurance companies, check the coverages they desire, see the pricing, buy it, buying coverage, it's all in the application instantly. And we've developed it with our insurance partners. Built-in education, built-in telematics, which we'll talk about, and it's fast. This just gives you a little bit of the design piece. So we offer 3 basic coverages on our platform. To break it down really simply, car insurance, you have liability to protect, against third party, you hit somebody, their car, third party property, or bodily injury to another party. So that's one of the coverages that we offer. Physical damage, comprehensive and collision protects your car. If somebody hits you, pays for those damages. You hit somebody else, pays for those damages as well. So they go through, they select the coverages that they desire. They fill out just basic underwriting questions, their truck information, what it's valued at, that type of thing. They can actually select, right there, that's one of the coverages, occupational accident that they can buy. They press continue, etc. So we'll go to that more here in a second. And there's really 2 core things to our application. It's the actual buying of the insurance, but one of the other things that I realized after 6 years is, why does every single insurance company in the commercial trucking space rate literally the exact same way? They look at losses, they look at motor vehicle records, do you have violations, are you speeding, what's your age, that type of thing. Nobody in the entire industry today, not one, rates based off of how the driver actually drives. Are they speeding? Are they using their phone while driving? Are they accelerating? Are they taking hard turns? Things of that nature. And we've integrated with a telematics company, and it's just a fancy term to state how a driver actually drives their truck. And we'd all probably agree that the way you actually drive on a day-to-day basis is probably more indicative of how you would actually perform from a claim standpoint than if you sped maybe once every 36 months, like insurance companies rate you all on your motor vehicle record, right? Every single mile you drive is more of an indicator if you're gonna have a claim versus, a violation every 36 months, right? Going against you. This is Allstate CEO. A lot of people and a lot of insurance companies rate off of a credit report. Probably not the best way to rate insurance. It's gonna be, again, more that telematics system, tracking, are you on your phone? Distracted driving is a huge problem nowadays. And actually, this year, 3,000 people will die because of distracted driving. And it's just a major issue in commercial trucking because these are 80,000 pound machines driving down the road. And the less we can keep those drivers on their phones, the better. This just kind of shows you, what we can actually track. We can track collisions, the time of day, the type of road, the phone usage, the speeding, accelerations, all those things, all via the phone. And the coolest part is this is just included if you're a policyholder for us. So we just include this with every policy that we sell. So it's a free service. And they simply just have to go into their Faster Insurance app, click on, and it starts tracking instantly. And it'll track every trip and a bunch of different metrics inside the app. So we have that data, and what we really want to do is over the next couple of years, as we collect that data, give it to our insurance company partners so they have a different data set to be able to underwrite to price the insurance. Because right now it's not being done. So why now? Only 4% of small medium business insurance policies across all industries is bought online or digitally. Boston Consulting Group talks about that. It's going to be 15 to 20% over the next couple of years, which is just massive, massive opportunity. Distracted driving is a huge issue. Very limited technology in the commercial auto insurance industry. And this is a big one that I really realize is there's one app. I'll break it down really simple. Truck drivers have to log their hours of service, how much they're driving on a day-to-day basis. There's one platform out there that is 100% mobile. That's how they track it. 500,000 drivers use that platform. 0 in the truck insurance business. So that'll be one of our go-to-market strategies is to partner with that company, offer their customers insurance in a similar format to how they track their hours of service via an electronic logging device. Let's go over some of this stuff. It's a mobile world, just not in insurance. That's kind of the biggest thing out there. So a little bit on the market size. So like I said before, there's about 3.5 million truck drivers in America. Massive opportunity from a revenue standpoint for our company specifically. And there's 3.5, and that's in the Class 8 space. That's big semi-trucks driving down the road. There's over 30 million just commercial vehicles, period, in the country. So it's just a massive space and opportunity for us. And that's one of the biggest lessons I share is what is your market size? What is that real revenue potential? And how do you reach those customers? Because there's over 700,000 trucking companies in America. It's unbelievable. There's more than you'd think, trust me. And competition, what is our competition? It's really just your everyday independent agent in basically every city in America. We all probably work with them on our basic insurance needs. There's a couple insurance technology, tech companies in the space, but none of them do trucking, and very few of them offer quotes instantly. And I think it was really because of my personal domain expertise that I kind of knew how to get that done. So that's another lesson is go out and get that experience and look at problems in an industry that maybe the company you work for is just overlooking, and you go disrupt that. You be the market maker in that category, because my company, they just didn't. So our products, talked about it a little bit, but iOS and Android technologies, we're actually launching in 3 weeks. So we've spent the last 7 months building the technology, and I tell you what, I have a sales and insurance background. That has been the most, I've learned just so much about developing a technology product. If you have questions on that, I would love to answer it because I've learned just a ton. It's been overwhelming at times, but that's where I feel like the disruption happens is when you bring in that domain expertise and find a way to disrupt it with technology, is a great synergy to have. Business model, really quick. So the revenue model, your average insurance agent makes 10 to 15% on the premium that you pay annually, right? So you gotta know how you're gonna drive sales. You gotta know how much money you're gonna be bringing in as a company, right? The pricing, usually truck drivers pay about $3,000 to $5,000 a year for these coverages. Very expensive. And talk about our go-to-market really quick. There's really 3 ways: that self-service model via the mobile app that the truck drivers downloads and buys, calling on these larger trucking companies that have these truck drivers and talking with their individual drivers at the company, licensing the technology to insurance carriers and insurance brokers to facilitate in their transactions, and a couple others that I won't dive really too much into. So then it's myself as a co-founder, and then I have 3 advisors, just prior insurance colleagues that really saw the mission and the vision but couldn't technically get involved just because of non-competes and different things like that. But they've been instrumental in helping me navigate it, and that's another lesson: is don't go it completely alone. Have those mentors there that can help you, because that is just invaluable. And that is it. Cool, guys. Any questions? Yeah. Yeah, right here. We'll start right here.
So I know in the next 10 to 15 years, the trucking industry is going to get a lot of automation and AI involved. So how do you see that playing into the insurance, especially?
Absolutely. So the way that I see it is, I have right now kind of, I think one important lesson is to think about your business in the future, like you had mentioned. And I think what will happen is we'll transition to different lines of coverage. So in my opinion, it'll really go towards, and this is just a hypothesis, but auto liability is very expensive for a trucker, right? Of that $5,000 in cost annually, it probably makes up 70 to 80% of the cost. I think it'll transition to actually more of a cyber liability policy, because what happens when you have 100,000 unmanned, potentially, trucks driving down the road, somebody hacks into the systems, and now they become moving, targets to destroy things. And that damage that they could cause, but also that hacking ability, getting that information, things like that. So I think to answer your question, is transition to maybe different coverages. But I think the distribution model will also change over time. Maybe it won't even be a phone in 5 or 10 years, because that App Store has only really been around for 10 to 11 years. So there could be a totally new way to distribute. So I think I have a 5-year plan ahead of our different phases. So I think it's just important to think about maybe 5 years ahead to develop different phases to get to market in different ways. So, but yeah, good question, because I think about it, and a lot of people have brought it up for sure. So, for sure, yeah.
So you mentioned that it launches in a couple days.
Yeah.
How much piloting have you done?
So we have done with about 10 to 20 drivers on just surveying, because the biggest challenge that we had is this is a product where, it's not as simple as like going out and having the driver actually buy it, because there's a lot of regulation around insurance, and you have to have that all set up into the system. So we've just done some surveying where we've gone to some former clients of mine and had some of their drivers fill it out on 7 basic questions, just to ask, would you buy insurance from a mobile phone? Would you allow us to track behavior to potentially get an insurance discount? Would you like instantaneous comparison of quotes, things like that? And it was really positive. I think the other thing is just from working with, in my former life and former job, I probably worked with about 1,000 trucks total across the companies. And insurance is one of their top expenses, and it is just a pain for them to buy. So to be able to go in, instead of taking, say, 2 weeks, to be able to see in minutes just what the pricing would be, I think the market's really going to catch on to that, because right now it's just not being done. And you just can't do it. Yeah.
So you had mentioned that you've partnered with some insurance companies already.
Yeah.
Can you give us info how did that go as far as that negotiation?
Yeah.
And get them on board?
Yeah, so really, really, really good question, because one of the biggest probably the biggest battle that we faced, so I probably talked to 30 different insurance companies, and they all love the technology. The biggest thing that you'll find is whenever there's an intermediary in place, right? Real estate, the car business, you got to go to a car dealer and buy the car. You gotta go to insurance agents to buy the insurance. Whenever there's an intermediary in there, and there's relationships, a lot of the insurance companies we approached, they like the technology, but they didn't wanna disrupt and tick off their current insurance partners and brokers, because we're going to be a retail insurance broker, but we're gonna do it with technology. And we're basically cutting out that middleman, and we're actually gonna decrease the cost a little bit because of the efficiency. So the negotiations, a lot of them just said, look, we like the technology, but we can't do this because we're scared of what our current existing relationships would say in those insurance agents. But we found some that wanted to innovate and that wanted to do things differently because they saw a new way to distribute their product. And that's the biggest thing that I can recommend, is find people who see the vision, because two of them in particular, they've just been incredible to work with, and they saw the vision from day one. We didn't have to sell them on our vision like some of the others that kind of drug us along a little bit. But yeah, great question. It's finding those partners that see the vision.
Yeah, and I mean, as you're maybe talking to more insurance companies, you know,
Yeah.
just highlight history where people said, hey, you know, that's the future, you know, it's not gonna happen, look at the blockbusters or
Yeah.
other things like that. It's like, either you're gonna be on the edge or you're gonna be gone.
There's no question, whether we do it or not, insurance will be distributed in the trucking industry via phone at some point,
Right.
right? It's a massive, massive marketplace of different services, Amazon, Netflix, on-demand food delivery, whatever. Insurance is probably the ladder to the game, maybe actually one of the most lagged industries out there that's that big. So yeah, that's a good point. Good point. Yeah.
Kind of a continuation of that last question with these
Yeah.
insurance companies. Has there been interest in white labeling the technology?
Yeah.
And so they basically, it's under their brand name and not yours.
Yep.
But the underlying
Yep,
technical-
yeah, we've, it's actually gonna be our phase 2
Okay.
of our kind of 5 to 6 phases that I've thought of. Because, you know, obviously they have massive customer bases, and there's a couple insurance companies in this space that, there's probably 3 of them that probably write, I don't know, 50% of the policies. So to partner with them and have instant access to 200,000 to 300,000 customers and just get a little percentage than us getting a bigger percentage, but actually writing the policy, is very intriguing. And I actually talked to one insurance company, just to give you a little context too, that they've been trying to develop what we've developed for 3 years and scrapped the project. Probably was around $1 million that they spent, they said, and just scrapped it because they couldn't do it. So that's, yeah, it's definitely on our radar for sure. For sure, yeah.
How do you go about bringing this service to the attention of truck drivers?
Yeah, yeah, so there's really 2 really big ways. So the first way is going to a lot of association events. So these are events that could have thousands and thousands of truck drivers coming through in a 2 to 3 day basis. Like we're going to one in July, where last year there was 40,000 attendees,
Okay.
half of them were truck drivers.
Okay.
And they'll walk through, so that, and then going directly to the trucking company. So say a fleet that has 300 owner-operators, and asking them if we could simply just come in and talk with their drivers, or sending their drivers information, because a lot of truck drivers, especially when you're a sole operator, if you can save $2,000 on insurance a year, $1,000, I mean, it's a lot of money, and it goes directly to their bottom line. So, absolutely, those will probably be the 2 biggest ways, though.
Okay, thank you.
You bet, you bet, yeah.
How often do truck drivers typically switch to their insurance carrier?
Good question. So in this space, it's going to be a little bit more frequent than on a larger motor carrier plan. So there's really 2 ways that a driver would buy this type of insurance. They either get it, the easiest way to explain is like health insurance. You can go to the individual exchange, right, or you can get it through your employer. Now, if you're a really, really small employer, you maybe don't offer health insurance to your employees. Now, these drivers are not employees, they're independent contractors, paid on a 1099, so it's a little bit different because they're not a W-2 traditional employee. But these drivers, the retention rate is about 80 to 85% annually, where on a larger motor carrier plan, the retention rate is probably 92 to 97%. So it's definitely lower, but we're making it more of a transactional sale, so we feel like we can afford to plan the space because we're implementing technology rather than a person. And we'll definitely be there, that's the biggest thing, we'll definitely be there to service them. We're not completely replacing it with technology, but we'll definitely be there to service them. Yeah,
So if it's such a large market,
yeah.
it's a huge opportunity, why haven't other people been able to do it? Why don't they do it?
Yeah.
And what's your secret sauce to keep
So, I think there's two major reasons, and this is just my hypothesis, but this comes from talking to 40 insurance companies, is a lot of them, it's kind of, what's the phrase I always say? You know, if it's kind of like if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And insurance companies, I mean, the average profit margin, especially at an insurance broker, is 30 to 35% at a commercial insurance broker. So they're making loads of money, so why change it? You know, so it's the current model. And the other thing too is they just don't, they're insurance companies, they're not technology companies, so they just don't understand it. Like one of the insurance companies we talked with, they probably, for one of these lines of coverage, they probably rank 40% in the space. That was that I mentioned to this other gentleman a couple minutes ago. They tried to develop almost something identical for 3 years, just couldn't do it. And I don't know why, you know, they just couldn't. So we're talking with them about the licensing play. But I think we definitely, once we do accomplish this, there definitely will be other competitors coming in because it is such a big market. And the trucking business is big insurance marketplace too. Yeah.
Are you going to offer some type of training for the truck drivers that do get on board? Because my husband has several truck drivers in his family, and we just switched his uncle from a flip phone to a regular phone, and he called us 3 times because he didn't know how to call anyone else.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah, there's definitely, no, that's a very valid point. Because there's definitely a lot of drivers in the space that the average age of a truck driver is, you know, in that 40 to 55 years old. So it's definitely an older demographic. The thing I think we're definitely going towards is that demographic that a lot of truck drivers in that probably 30 to 45 years old, especially in the owner-operator space that own their own vehicle, a lot of them could be doing a lot of business services from their phone. Like we researched quite a few in a study that they're actually booking more of their freight from app-based platforms, like a Uber Freight has a platform, and there's just a lot. JB Hunt has a big trucking company, has a mobile-based platform. So I think over time, kind of like that transition from a flip phone to a regular phone, you know, the truck drivers will adapt to it, but we definitely will be facing probably an uphill battle with, in my estimate, probably 25 to 35% of them from the start that they've never even had a smartphone before. So we'll probably be going after that 15 to 30% of the market, which is still a big market, especially with how many drivers there are to start. But yeah, it's definitely something I've thought about. And we will offer training because we have multiple places in the app to call us or email us before they even purchase if they have questions. Absolutely, yeah.
You may want to think about that. When I was working with Intermac and they rolled out a new handheld device
Yeah.
for like Pepperidge Farm drivers, for
Okay.
example.
Yeah,
They incorporated in their sale to, you know, Pepperidge Farm.
yeah,
The training thing, and we went out across the country and trained all the drivers on how to use it, best practices for their businesses, sort of like an add-on.
yeah,
So you may want to think about that when you're going to, like, the trucking companies that are hiring, the others are the distributors that are hiring the truck drivers.
Yeah.
And the contractors, and they're gonna be pushing this as their insurance option.
Yep.
And just as a value add to offer the training, just because it'll make it easier on them. And
absolutely.
the truck drivers aren't pissed off that they have to invest in a new phone, buy this, get this technology, and use something that they can't figure out.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's really good advice. Absolutely. Yeah,
I missed something somewhere. Are you
yeah.
an insurance agent using technology, or are you an IT provider to an insurance carrier?
Right now, we're the former, we're the first. So we're an insurance agent that partnered with insurance companies. And our technology is simply just a front-end distribution interface. It automatically underwrites, fills out the questions. Like an insurance, we basically digitalize the whole process essentially.
So there's plenty of technology out there that's very similar to yours, not necessarily in the, you know, the commercial truck segment, but, you know, I had, when I was a Progressive, I had their app that was very similar to what you have. To his question, I haven't picked up, you know, what your secret sauce is, because lots of other people are out there doing this very same thing. So if you're just, you know, you're part of the Me Too movement, and you found
successful to make some noise in the marketplace, and then go to these insurance companies and say, hey, we brought on 2,000 policyholders in a year. Can we white label the technology to you guys? And it allows us to work out the bugs, because there's no doubt there's gonna be things that go wrong and bugs that happen from developing any sort of technology. So I didn't wanna go to an insurance company with basically unfinished product. I wanna go out, test the marketplace, get customers, fix things from driver feedback, and then we'll definitely look at white labeling, because there's no question, and to answer your question too, on basically our moat, you know, we filed for some provisional patents, and we have registered trademarks on all of the design, logo, and everything. There's really, from what I found in software, it can take years to get patents. So to really protect yourself from nobody else going to offer truck drivers quotes from a mobile platform, pretty much impossible, I would say. Or it's gonna take years and years to get done. By that time, if we didn't show it to the world, well, we're already 4 or 5 years behind anyway. So does that answer?
Yes, so you mentioned, I think, 6 to 7 months for development time?
Yeah.
For like your,
Yeah.
for your software, your iOS and that sort of thing?
Yep,
Do you have a rough ballpark of what you spent on that?
yep, 150 grand,
Okay.
yep.
Did you use something off the shelf, or did you customize something off the shelf?
Yeah,
Or did you
we-
hire a couple of guys to write code?
Yep, so that was one of the things, so I outsourced the development and met with about 8 different firms. And some of them wanted to kind of bring off-the-shelf products where maybe they developed similar things, they kind of plug and play with that methodology. I wanted it to be customized because I've only been in the truck insurance business, I haven't done personal side or, any other even business insurance. The one thing I knew about the truck insurance business is it's pretty niche in the coverages that are being offered, like occupational accident and non-trucking liability, and that's only for truckers. So I knew we'd have to customize quite a bit, so we did customize everything. Everything you'll see in our app when we launch in 3 weeks is completely proprietary to our design and customized to us. Yeah, good question.
Cool, thank you.
Yeah, no, you bet, you bet. Yes, yeah?
I had 2 things.
Yeah.
One, thank you for coming to
Hey, you
speak.
bet. I
And,
appreciate
you're, I think, inspiring, just a young guy, taking a niche and just kind of running with it.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that. One thing I wanted to say, a part of your speech or presentation was,
Yeah.
I felt, maybe this is just me, but
Yeah, yeah.
you were giving like a lot of nuggets, like this is how you should start your business. Maybe this is kind of how I did it, kind of like inspiring us. But I think you could forget that because you're already inspiring. So you could just focus on yourself and your own company.
Yeah.
Like, so if that makes sense.
No,
And then
that makes
two,
complete sense.
the question was, you mentioned there was 500,000 users of some sort of app,
Mhm.
and I was curious what that app was.
So the 2 out there is Trucker Path and Keep Trucking. Truckers have to log electronically now their hours of service. And Keep Trucking it's only a mobile interface to track your hours of service. So that's how I basically do. And Trucker Path there's I think they have something like 75,000 reviews, which is crazy for any app, and it's all just used by truckers. So that kind of gave me the confidence that just because there's no insurance apps out there, that there are many different apps that truck drivers are using to book freight, track their hours of service, look at fuel stations, rest stops, that type of thing, that they're utilizing this technology. So it gave me the confidence that there's enough of a population out there that would respond to technology, and we've made the interface extremely simple too. It's very black and white, so yeah, good question though. Good question. Yeah.
Really nice job. I
Thank
love
you.
the fact that, you really know the industry, and that definitely came across. 2 questions.
Yeah.
One, tell me about the pushback from the truckers about the telemetry tracking, because I'm sure you have some. And then
Yep.
second, why did you move to Iowa City?
Yeah. So to answer your first question, it is going to be really interesting to see, because the thing that we've made it is that it is just something that comes included in all of our insurance policies, so that we're not charging for it. And the biggest reason for that is we're definitely going to get pushback. Because it's never been done in commercial trucking before, it's been around in personal insurance for years and years and years, especially Progressive was the original back in the late 90s even, with telematics. It's gonna take a couple of years to collect enough data to be able to go make it relevant to insurance companies to say, this driver should get 10% reduction for this reason. And I wanted to just, even though it's a big risk, I wanna create that change so that we can begin to get that data. So we're definitely gonna have pushback. The biggest thing I would say is, it's free, you don't have to use it. It's really there to, I actually have a third-party version on my phone. I just like it to keep myself accountable. Right, like, what is my score? Can I make it better? So we can kind of gamify it. So hopefully we can get the drivers to see it from that standpoint, is to gamify it for them, leading eventually to we'd have to negotiate with our insurance contracts, but the cost reduction. And then what led me to Iowa City was, this is my girlfriend Meredith, and we came to Iowa City because the biggest reason was I had a non-compete that I had to move so far away from Dubuque. And with all the other offices we had, Iowa City was like the perfect little corner to move to, and her sisters lived here for years. And it's just a really fun environment with young people, and we'll be looking for young talent and stuff like that to help grow the company. So it's a really cool area so far. 2 weeks in, so yeah. Yeah.
So is that technology, are you using the truck driver's phone, or is
Yep.
it a separate, okay.
Yep, it's all, they literally download, it's a mobile application, they download it on their phone, and they literally go through the interface and select the coverages they desire, they fill out the couple underwriting questions we have, select the coverage limits, deductibles, limits, plans, all of that, then they buy it, pay for it on the phone, instant policy numbers, certificates, all that stuff.
But I'm talking about for the, is it telemetry?
Oh, yes, it's from the smartphone.
Okay.
Yep, so a lot, like, Progressive has, the snapshot, that you plug into, your car. This is all from the phone. Because one of the biggest things that we wanted to track is that I've seen different stats, but roughly 1/4 of all distracted driving accidents come from playing on the phone. And that's a big number. And if we can stop 50 of those in trucking, any of them is a major benchmark to be able to make better. So yeah, it's all gonna be from the phone, so we can especially track that distracted driving piece.
Okay.
For sure, yeah, good question. Yeah,
So I've seen a lot of apps that have launched and have not really considered the troubleshooting aspects. Do we anticipate and are like prepared for those elements and those pain points that will
Oh,
come
yeah.
with the launch?
yeah, for sure. I know, we all see it even with the biggest apps in the world. They're constantly updating all the time on your phone, and we'll definitely, like one of my biggest goals over the next couple months, little plug, is to find a co-founder that's technology savvy, because I can go talk on insurance and talk with trucking companies and understand their pain points and sell to them, but I've learned a lot on the technology, but especially how to code or fix those troubleshoots, I really don't know. So we'll be leaning on our development company for the first, couple months or any period of time we need to help us with those. But absolutely, yeah, it's never finished in technology. It's just finished at the present time, I guess. So, but yeah, good question. Yeah.
Do you have any plans in the future of expanding to other commercial insurance?
Absolutely. Yeah.
The thought being, like, you got truck drivers right now, but there are a lot of companies out there who, they have whatever delivery service, whether it's a restaurant that, doesn't use Uber Eats or anything
Yep.
like that, or, I always see Frito-Lay trucks on the way to work or something like that.
Yeah.
What is your plan for that, and
Yeah, one of the biggest spaces that I see a really big need for over the next couple of years is the on-demand economy, or the gig economy is expanding quite a bit. I mean, with the most popular ones being Uber, Lyft, and TaskRabbit, things like that. What a lot of these individuals don't realize is that, like, Uber partnered actually with not one of our providers, but with one of the coverages that we offer. They partnered with an insurance company that while the driver, they click their driving, they have what's called occupational accident coverage. So if the driver gets injured, they have some medical benefits, disability benefits, that type of thing to protect them, like a work comp type coverage, but it's for the 1099 segment. I see that segment growing a lot over the next couple of years, and I really want to develop really, really well in educating the 1099 workforce, and asking them, if you were to get injured, you break your leg while on the job as a 1099 contractor, do So that specific coverage, I see us growing a lot in because of that, the gig economy. But definitely, we'll move into smaller commercial vehicles eventually too. Our focus to start is really gonna be the Class 8, just because that's what I know. But definitely, we'll go and disrupt the smaller commercial vehicles as well. Absolutely, do that. Anybody else? Cool.
If there's no additional questions, I'll ask the final question.
Sweet.
What can we do as an entrepreneurial community to help Faster?
Oh man, I mean honestly, I would say my biggest need is to find technology individuals who can help us continue to better our platform. Because, you know, if you look at, you know, obviously the extreme examples of like a Uber, right? They probably have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of individuals that are really responsible for that basic, simple app that they have to keeping it up to date, right? And that's probably the biggest thing that we're in need of is technology-focused people who want to come in, be a part of something really, really innovative and unique to help us and keep developing our technology. But that's probably the biggest thing that we need help in the next couple months.
Sweet. Let's
Yeah.
give it up for Faster.
Yeah.